My name's not really important, but let's just call me Luke. My wife? Let's call her Debbie, and I had been married for 8 years. Like any couple, we had our ups and downs. But a few months ago, things took a turn I didn't see coming. I started noticing Debbie acting oddly protective of her phone, something she'd never done before. It was like her phone had become an extension of her, always glued to her hand, even when she was in the bathroom. Late-night texting sessions became the norm, and she'd often slip into bed after I was already asleep. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe it was work stress or some new hobby she had picked up, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Eventually, suspicion got the best of me, and one night while she was in the shower, I found myself snooping through her messages. I know it wasn't the noblest thing to do, but desperate times call for desperate measures. What I found shattered me. Explicit messages and photos exchanged with a guy named Mark. Anger, heartbreak, and betrayal surged through me, but before I confronted her, I needed a plan. I wanted answers, and I wanted to make sure she couldn't talk her way out of it. There was also this urge to confront Mark, but I knew violence wasn't the answer. That's when a risky idea crossed my mind. What if I invited her lover over, using her own Messenger account? The next day, while Debbie was at work, I logged into her Messenger account, knowing she'd be out with her sister and kids at the movies that evening. This would be the perfect opportunity. I made sure to log out of all other devices so she wouldn't catch on. I messaged Mark, pretending to be Debbie, pouring out feelings I never thought I'd express. I told him how much I missed him and that I wanted to see him that night. It was a risky move. Deep down, I questioned whether I was making the right choice, but my need for closure pushed me forward. I set up the plan to catch my wife and her affair partner red-handed. Mark seemed more than willing to go along with my scheme. I gave him instructions on how to sneak into our house through the side door, get undressed down to his underwear, and head straight to the bedroom where I would be waiting. It was twisted, but there was a strange satisfaction in setting it all up. After sending the message, I erased all traces of it to cover my tracks. As I waited, I decided to dig into Mark's background. Turns out, he was married too. I filed that piece of info away, thinking it might be useful later. The night of the confrontation arrived. I parked my car a few blocks away and snuck back to the house, leaving the side door unlocked. I didn't want Mark seeing my car and getting suspicious. Hidden in the bedroom, in the shadows, I braced myself for what was about to unfold. I heard the side door creak open, followed by footsteps. My heart was pounding as Mark entered the bedroom, following my instructions to the letter. Without wasting a moment, I burst out from the shadows, yelling at the top of my lungs, "What the hell are you doing in my house?" Mark froze, panic flashing across his face as he tried to cover himself. I didn't give him a chance to speak. Rage surged through me as I lunged forward. We collided with a thud, the room echoing with the sounds of our struggle. I pummeled him with punch after punch, each blow driven by a mix of anger and betrayal. He tried to fight back, but I was determined, overwhelmed by my fury. Amidst the chaos, I heard his grunts and occasional pleas for mercy. After a few minutes, I stepped back, leaving him lying battered and bruised on the floor. I acted as though I didn't know him, screaming about him breaking into my house and attacking me. Our home security cameras had captured everything. I called the police, showing them the footage of Mark entering our home, claiming I didn't know who he was or why he was there. The police arrived quickly, taking Mark into custody on charges of trespassing. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me, and I couldn't help but chuckle inwardly at the absurdity of it all. When Debbie came home later that night, I played it cool. I casually asked her how her evening went, letting her take in the disarray in our bedroom. Her confusion was immediate, and she demanded to know what had happened. I seized the moment, recounting the bizarre events of my night, telling her about the half-naked intruder who had broken into our house. Her eyes widened in fear, and I showed her the surveillance footage of the confrontation. Despite her attempts to act clueless, I could see the recognition in her eyes. She knew exactly who the intruder was. I pressed on, asking if she knew him. She denied it, but her nervous glances at the screen gave her away. I mentioned Mark's name and explained that he'd been arrested for trespassing. I told her I'd looked him up and found out he was married. That's when she finally broke. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed everything: the affair, the lies, the betrayal. She tried to justify it, claiming she didn't want to get Mark's wife involved, thinking it would make things worse. It was too late for that. I messaged Mark's wife immediately, telling her everything about the affair. I showed the message to Debbie and coldly told her to pack her things and leave. My trust in her had been shattered beyond repair. The next day, I filed for divorce. She pleaded with me, but I couldn't forgive her. The pain was too deep. Not long after, I received a call from Mark's wife. He had deleted the incriminating messages, but eventually admitted everything to her. It was a relief knowing that I wasn't involved in the fallout from his actions, at least not in their eyes. Mark faced legal consequences for his actions, and I was left to move on. For me, the worst part is over. Now, it's about healing, moving forward, and starting a new chapter in my life. The fun part of this twisted story is finished, but I hope sharing it provides someone else with a little bit of insight or entertainment. Good day. Feel free to share your thoughts below.